Do this once, and an avoidant will be addicted to you for life. Avoidants don't get addicted the way other people do. They don't crave attention, they don't crave reassurance, and they definitely don't crave constant closeness. What they get addicted to is a feeling they rarely experience with anyone. Most people think avoidants pull away because they don't feel enough. The truth is the opposite. They pull away because they feel too much pressure, expectations, emotional weight. So when someone shows up differently, calm instead of needy, grounded instead of reactive, present without demanding, something unusual happens. Their nervous system relaxes, and the moment an avoidant's nervous system relaxes, attachment begins. This is where addiction is created. Not through chasing, not through intensity, but through relief. When an avoidant associates you with relief, emotional, mental and even physical, their mind starts pulling them back to you automatically. They think about you when they're stressed, they miss you when life feels heavy. They reach out not because they should, but because their body wants the feeling you give. And this is why trying harder never works. Effort doesn't create addiction. Emotional safety does. In this video, I'm going to show you one shift that flips the entire dynamic. A shift that turns you from just another connection into the one place they feel regulated, understood, and free. Once an avoidant links you to that feeling, detachment becomes uncomfortable for them. Distance doesn't bring relief anymore. You do. Stay with me, because this isn't about control or manipulation. It's about understanding how avoidant attachment actually forms, and why, once it does, it's incredibly hard to replace. If you do this, an avoidant will be addicted to you for a lifetime. It's not about controlling them, forcing their attention, or chasing endlessly. Avoidants don't get addicted to people in the traditional sense. They don't crave constant attention, validation, or affection. What they get addicted to, what pulls them back repeatedly, often without them even realizing why, is a feeling of calm, safety, and freedom combined with subtle emotional stimulation. This feeling is rare for them. Most avoidants have experienced relationships where intensity, pressure, or emotional demand overwhelms them. That's why they pull away, why they seem distant, and why they're often unpredictable themselves. But when someone shows up in a way that creates relief, space, and a sense of being understood without pressure, something profound happens. Their brain associates you with rewarding emotional experiences, which leads to what looks like addiction. 1. Emotional relief. Avoidants live in a constant state of internal tension. Relationships often feel like a threat to their independence or emotional stability. When you provide emotional relief, they experience something addictive, a sense of peace and calm that they rarely find elsewhere. This relief is not about ignoring them or pretending not to care. It's about creating an environment where they feel relaxed, safe, and free of judgment, even if it's just for a few moments. That moment of emotional ease activates the brain's reward system. Dopamine and oxytocin subtly flood their system, creating a positive association with your presence. Over time, their subconscious begins linking the relief and calm with you specifically, which makes them want to come back repeatedly. Avoidants are wired to notice emotional pressure first. When that pressure is removed and replaced with calm and understanding, it creates an almost magnetic pull. They begin to unconsciously seek that relief again, because their mind recognizes it as a safe and rewarding experience that they rarely encounter. 2. Freedom and stability. Addiction in avoidance grows strongest when you combine freedom with stability. Avoidants crave independence, and they are wired to flee when they feel trapped. At the same time, they need stability, someone grounded, consistent, and emotionally regulated. When you offer both freedom and stability, it creates a paradox that their brain finds irresistible. They can be with you without losing themselves, and they feel secure knowing your energy is steady and non-demanding. This combination produces an internal sense of reward and comfort that is addictive. The beauty here is subtlety. They don't consciously calculate this, it's felt. They notice they can be themselves around you without judgment or emotional suffocation. This feeling of freedom, coupled with your calm presence, creates an emotional experience that they crave. The more they experience it, the stronger the attachment becomes, almost like a psychological addiction to how being with you makes them feel. 3. Unpredictable stability. One of the most subtle and powerful tools in creating avoidant addiction is unpredictable stability. This doesn't mean playing mind games or being inconsistent. It means combining a stable emotional presence with slight variations that keep their attention engaged. For example, sometimes you may respond thoughtfully, other times casually, but always without desperation or neediness. This balance of reliability and subtle unpredictability triggers the brain's dopamine system, creating emotional excitement without threat, which makes your presence stimulating yet safe. Avoidants unconsciously become hooked to this roller coaster of safe emotional engagement. They start to notice that interactions with you are pleasantly unpredictable yet safe, which is exactly the kind of emotional experience their minds seek. This keeps them thinking about you even when you're not around, creating a continuous subconscious pull. 4. Investment creates attachment. Avoidants rarely attach deeply unless they themselves invest emotionally or mentally. If you constantly chase, try too hard, or overinvest, they pull away. But when you allow them to invest their own attention, effort, or emotional energy, attachment naturally forms. This self-driven investment produces a psychological "I chose this feeling" effect. Their mind links the positive experience, the relief, calm, and subtle excitement, with their own effort and attention, which strengthens attachment. Over time, they start associating you with the satisfaction of their own investment, creating a feeling they want to repeat. Avoidants are wired to value their own agency. When they are given the space to invest on their own terms, it creates internal reinforcement. They feel pride, satisfaction, and subtle attachment all at once. This combination makes the emotional pull toward you almost irresistible, because it's tied to their own choices, rather than being imposed on them. 5. Feeling over actions. It's crucial to understand that avoidants don't get addicted to actions, words, or gifts. They don't attach because of what you do, they attach because of how they feel when they're around you, or thinking about you. If you consistently create a feeling of calm, freedom, relief, and subtle emotional stimulation, their subconscious starts craving it. Over time, this craving becomes an internal loop. When life is stressful, chaotic, or overwhelming, the first place they want to go, consciously or subconsciously, is back to that emotional state you provide. This is the key to understanding avoidant addiction. It's not a superficial attachment to gestures or attention, it's a deep emotional craving for a state that only you create. The more consistent and authentic you are in providing that feeling, the stronger the addictive pull becomes, because their mind comes to rely on the positive experience you offer. When you combine emotional relief, freedom, and stability, unpredictable stability, self-driven investment, and the focus on feeling over actions, the avoidant experiences a unique emotional state that is almost impossible to replace. They begin to think about you, miss you, and return for that feeling, sometimes without consciously realizing why. This is the essence of the addiction avoidants develop. It's not dependency, it's not control, and it's not manipulation. It's a psychological pull created by the emotional state you cultivate. This is why chasing, over-investing, or trying to control them never works. True avoidant attachment and emotional addiction happen when you create freedom, emotional relief, and subtle stimulation, allowing them to engage, invest, and return on their own terms. Once they link you to this emotional experience, they are effectively addicted, not to you as a person, but to the unique feeling only you provide. And the beautiful part is, this doesn't involve manipulation. It's about understanding avoidant psychology, respecting their need for space, and creating an irresistible emotional state that they want to experience again and again. Why this is effective chase or manipulation does not work with avoidance. This is the critical reason why so many people fail when trying to secure their attention or attachment. Most assume that by putting in more effort, controlling their behavior, or demanding emotional investment, an avoidant will become more engaged. The truth is entirely the opposite. Avoidants are wired to resist pressure, intensity, and control. Whenever they feel trapped, forced, or manipulated, they instinctively pull away. This is their natural survival mechanism, a psychological defense that keeps them from feeling emotionally suffocated. The approach that actually works is rooted in emotional relaxation combined with opportunities for natural investment, which leads to what can be described as feeling-based addiction. Unlike ordinary attachment, which is often based on attention or reward-seeking behavior, this form of emotional addiction is subtle, deep, and highly resistant to the usual tactics of chasing, manipulation, or control. Emotional relaxation. The first key to effectiveness is emotional relaxation. Avoidants live with a heightened sensitivity to emotional pressure. Even minor demands or attempts at control can trigger their instinct to distance themselves. When you create an environment where they feel calm, understood, and free from judgment, you are offering them something extraordinarily rare: the experience of emotional relief without consequences. This state of emotional relaxation operates on multiple levels. Neurologically, it allows their nervous system to shift from a hyper-alert state to a more regulated one. Neurochemicals like dopamine and oxytocin are subtly released, creating a sense of pleasure, reward, and safety associated with your presence. Psychologically, it lowers their emotional defenses, making them feel secure enough to engage without fear of losing autonomy or being overwhelmed. Behaviorally, emotional relaxation encourages them to invest voluntarily in the connection. They are more likely to open up, share themselves, and respond positively when they feel emotionally safe. The reason this works so effectively is that emotional pressure triggers the opposite response. Any attempt to chase, demand attention, or control them causes stress and withdrawal. Avoidance cannot develop attachment or addiction under pressure. Only emotional relaxation, consistently applied, lays the foundation for them to become naturally drawn to you. Natural investment. The second factor is natural investment. Avoidants rarely attach deeply when someone is doing everything for them. They are wired to resist over-effort from others because it reduces their sense of agency. True emotional attachment emerges when they feel they are contributing voluntarily to the connection. Natural investment can take many forms: initiating conversation or interaction on their own, sharing thoughts, feelings, or personal experiences without being prompted, engaging in acts that demonstrate interest or effort without feeling forced. When they invest in this way, they experience a psychological effect of ownership and choice. They perceive the emotional connection as self-directed, which reinforces their sense of autonomy while simultaneously strengthening attachment. This is one of the key reasons why avoidants can appear addicted. They are not addicted to the other person, but to the experience they co-create and control themselves. Feeling-based addiction, the combination of emotional relaxation and natural investment, produces what can be called feeling-based addiction. This is distinct from conventional attachment or dependency. Avoidants do not crave you for attention, gifts, or gestures. They crave the emotional state you create, a mix of calm freedom, relief, and subtle engagement. When an avoidant experiences this state, their subconscious begins to seek it repeatedly. Even in stressful or chaotic moments, they are drawn toward the feeling you provide, often without consciously realizing why. This is why trying to control or manipulate them fails, because addiction is not about actions, it is about emotional experience. Why traditional tactics fail? Most traditional approaches fail with avoidance because they rely on chasing, creates pressure, triggering flight responses. Over-investing reduces the avoidant's sense of agency, which is essential for attachment, manipulation, or guilt. Increases emotional tension and withdrawal. Avoidants do not respond to external force. They attach when they feel safe, autonomous, and rewarded emotionally. The effectiveness of the strategy lies in working with their natural tendencies, not against them. How emotional relaxation plus investment works creates a reward loop. The avoidance nervous system associates your presence with pleasure and relief, encourages voluntary engagement. They invest emotionally on their own terms, which strengthens attachment. Builds subconscious craving. They crave the emotional state they only experience with you. This combination bypasses their natural defenses. Instead of resisting, they are naturally drawn to you. Instead of feeling manipulated, they feel voluntarily connected. This is why the approach is highly effective and long-lasting. Practical examples: remaining calm while they express withdrawal or frustration creates emotional relief. Pulling back slightly after a meaningful interaction allows them to experience freedom and space, which naturally deepens attachment. Encouraging their voluntary contribution or investment strengthens ownership of the connection, reinforcing the addictive emotional loop. Each of these actions works without chasing, forcing, or manipulating. The effectiveness stems entirely from alignment with their natural psychology. In short, this method works because it avoids triggering avoidance mechanisms and instead encourages the experience they subconsciously crave. Emotional relaxation plus natural investment equals feeling-based addiction, where they repeatedly seek the emotional state you create. Unlike dependency or manipulation, this form of addiction is authentic and durable. It does not erode autonomy or create resentment. It develops from repeated experiences of emotional safety, voluntary engagement, and subtle stimulation, which become deeply reinforcing over time. When applied consistently, avoidants develop a persistent subconscious pull toward you. They think about you, miss the feeling, and return, not out of obligation, but because their mind and body crave the emotional state only you provide. How to maintain it for a long time? If you want an avoidant to be addicted to you for a long time, you need to master the art of maintaining the emotional pull you've created, and you must do this consistently. Maintaining the subtle addiction and emotional pull with an avoidant isn't about control, constant effort, or manipulation. It's about consistently cultivating the right emotional state while respecting their natural tendencies. If you master this, the avoidant will continue to feel drawn toward you, voluntarily investing and returning to the connection over and over again. Here's how to do it in detail. 1. Maintain a calm presence. The first and most important element is your own emotional regulation. Avoidants are highly sensitive to tension, pressure, and emotional chaos. If you become reactive, anxious, or overly emotional, it immediately disrupts the feeling of safety that makes them return. Maintaining a calm presence doesn't mean being cold, distant, or detached. It means being grounded, emotionally stable, and unshakable even in the face of unpredictability from the avoidant. When they see that your energy is steady, they can relax into the connection without fear of being judged, controlled, or trapped. This calm presence becomes addictive because it contrasts with the stress and emotional demands they often experience in life or past relationships. It provides a sense of relief and stability that they rarely encounter elsewhere. Over time, your presence becomes a safe emotional anchor, the very foundation of the long-term pull that keeps them coming back. A calm presence also encourages them to invest willingly. When your energy is consistent and grounded, the avoidant feels safe enough to participate in the connection without pressure, naturally strengthening the attachment and deepening the addictive dynamic. 2. Add subtle unpredictability and fun. While calmness is essential, too much predictability can make the connection safe but boring. Avoidants are drawn to subtle stimulation, not chaos but slight variations that keep them emotionally engaged. This could include light teasing or playful banter, slightly changing the tone or rhythm of your communication, naturally, introducing small enjoyable surprises without overwhelming them. The key is that unpredictability must always be paired with emotional safety. The balance between stable calm and slight novelty produces dopamine spikes, creating a sense of excitement and engagement without threatening their sense of freedom. Being with you should feel both relaxing and subtly stimulating. This addictive mix makes them look forward to your presence, curious about the next interaction, while still feeling emotionally safe and secure. 3. Pull back naturally from time to time. One of the most misunderstood strategies with avoidance is the idea of giving space. However, this isn't about withdrawal or creating scarcity artificially. It's about natural intentional pullbacks that allow them to process, reflect, and invest their own energy. After a meaningful interaction, step back slightly, allow them the freedom to choose to return. When your absence feels natural rather than manipulative, it strengthens attachment. Avoidants instinctively resist control, so giving them freedom to re-engage on their own terms deepens emotional pull and reinforces the addictive feeling you've already created. Pulling back naturally also prevents them from taking your presence for granted. It gives them the opportunity to reflect on their own feelings, which increases their investment and makes them actively seek the emotional state you provide. 4. Respect their space and freedom. Respecting an avoidance autonomy is not optional, it's essential. They will naturally withdraw if they feel their independence is threatened. Consistently respecting their boundaries communicates that you are safe, non-controlling, and trustworthy. Respect can be shown in many ways. Avoid unnecessary questioning or pressure, allow them time to respond without guilt-tripping, support their personal goals, hobbies, and independence. By honoring their space, you reinforce the emotional relief and freedom that initially attracted them to you. They begin to associate you with safety, autonomy, and non-demanding presence, which makes the emotional pull and craving for your presence stronger over time. 5. Encourage investment without pressure. Avoidants attach most strongly when they invest emotionally or mentally on their own. Encouraging investment without pushing or pressuring is a critical step in maintaining long-term connection. This can include allowing them to initiate meaningful conversations, creating situations where they can contribute or make choices, acknowledging their efforts without demanding more. The key is subtlety. They need to feel that their engagement is voluntary and that their efforts are appreciated but not exploited. When the connection benefits both parties naturally, their investment strengthens the emotional pull and deepens attachment. This reinforces the addictive feeling you have cultivated, making them return again and again. 6. Connect through emotional state, not words. Finally, always focus on emotional resonance rather than verbal communication. Avoidants do not attach to words, explanations or gestures as strongly as they attach to how being with you feels. This means showing calm confidence and grounded energy in every interaction, using presence, tone, and subtle emotional cues to communicate safety and freedom, avoiding over-explaining feelings or seeking constant validation. When the emotional state you provide is consistent, the avoidant experiences a reliable, safe and subtly stimulating feeling that becomes addictive. They will seek that feeling repeatedly, and your connection will naturally maintain itself over time. Dear friends, this is not about control or manipulation. If you try to force an avoidant to act or feel a certain way, it will only push them further away. Avoidants respond to freedom, calm and consistency, not pressure. The key is to create an environment where they feel safe, respected and understood, while still maintaining your own boundaries and priorities. Remember, avoidants naturally come back when they feel drawn to a unique emotional experience. It's not about chasing them or constantly seeking approval. It's about being someone whose presence feels rewarding and effortless. When they feel relaxed, safe and subtly stimulated in your presence, they will return, not out of obligation, but because they genuinely want to be around you. Focus on becoming the person they want, not someone they have to manage. Cultivate your own calm, confidence and emotional stability, while introducing subtle unpredictability that makes interactions enjoyable. Respect their autonomy, allow them space to invest voluntarily, and maintain the connection through the emotional state you provide, rather than over-explaining or over-communicating. For long-term success, consistently reinforce these principles. Avoid the temptation to control, overanalyze, or chase. Instead, focus on your own growth, emotional presence, and the quality of connection. By doing this, you naturally become someone they are drawn to repeatedly, creating a lasting emotional pull. If you found these insights helpful, take a moment to comment below with your thoughts or experiences, and don't forget to subscribe for more advice on relationships and understanding avoidant behavior. Following these strategies can completely transform your interactions, making avoidants not only interested, but genuinely drawn to your presence over time.